Hello everyone, and welcome to our last mass media, electronic media class. This is number 14. We are talking about computers and the internet, second part of 2. And as a reminder or refresher, the convergence of all media coming through computers and the internet has affected everything we've talked about this entire semester. Newspapers, magazines, popular music, movies, TV, radio, sound recording, everything is coming through one device. Our phones or our laptops or desktops, but it's all coming through one device, and that is what they call a disruptor. It is disrupting all of the media, and especially the business side of things. Okay, that's the big part right there. These things, these media are businesses, and they are trying to make money, and it is very, very hard to make money in the newspaper business, and it's hard to make money in the recording business, and hard to make money in just about everything we have talked about. People love getting stuff for free or for nearly free, and it's a tough business model to almost give stuff away, to almost give music away, and to almost give lots of other things away. So we'll see. Only the future knows what's going to happen. But right now we are in the middle of something, and we can't really see how it's going to play out. 20, 30 years ago, everything seemed pretty solid. Television came over the airwaves or possibly via cable, maybe satellites. Music was on CDs or vinyl or cassettes. Radio went over the air, and we got radio on our radios and things, music, all that. And now it's all kind of up in the air, and these businesses are all scrambling to try to see how to stay in business and compete in this new world marketplace. So anyway, let's wrap up computers, which kind of wraps up everything. That's partly why I saved it for last. And off we go. So operating systems, just some terms you probably know, but let's make sure we're all together. Operating systems are how the computers run, and through their browsers, how we connect to the internet. So these are the main operating systems. There could be more, there could be fewer. It might settle out that some of them go away and some of them stay. So this is definitely in flux. So consumers now are the marketers, and they are going to monetize as much as they can. That is kind of one of the big takeaways with the internet, is making money from being an influencer. And we, at this point, you should have watched the second part of Generation Like, or maybe you watched the whole thing last class, but that is the big part of Generation Like. Influencers making money, just posting things, and if you get enough subscribers and viewers and so on, that can be worth money. That's a career, believe it or not. That is a career. Blog about anything, and if enough people tune in, then advertisers want to know about that. Wow, a lot of people. You've got 1 million people that want to know what you think about anything. And so we will be happy to advertise on your channel. Okay, so that is possibly a career path. I don't know, that's possibly a career path to be an influencer and so on. So anyway, I hope you watch the entire episode. It's from a couple years ago, but I still think it's even truer than it ever was. It's not being dated at all. It's being more and more relevant, making money on the internet. Your internet service provider, and that's exactly as it says, ISP. How do you get your internet? Who provides you with your service? And we did that in an assignment, whether it's AT&T or Verizon or whoever. Somebody is going to get you your internet. That's different than a computer. Remember, computers don't need to be hooked up to the internet to do computing, right? They can figure out numbers and ballistics and things, and you can write letters and write scripts and all that kind of stuff. So they're connected, but they're kind of not connected. So I want to just reinforce the fact that there is the internet and there are computers, and sometimes we conflate the both of them. In the early days, and we talked about this a bit already, AOL, America Online, had dial-up service. You plugged your computer into the phone line, and later on, after dial-up, which is pretty darn slow, it would take minutes to download one picture. So one picture would maybe take minutes with some slow dial-up systems. Broadband came along, DSL, cable, all of that. Phone deregulation helped everybody out by making that part of the internet much cheaper. Okay, we're just jumping around here a little bit. I don't know if it's alphabetical or not, but a chatbot, chatter robot, is a computer program. There we go, designed to simulate an intelligent conversation. Sometimes people refer to it as the Turing test, after Alan Turing. And this is a nice illustration of all that. There we go. Can we tell? Can we, as the human questioner, ask questions and not knowing if it's a human respondent or a computer respondent, can we tell? Right? That's very simple. Okay, you ask a question. Now, right now they have asking questions via text. Sometimes computers are getting pretty good to make a vocal simulation. They sound pretty good. Sometimes you can pick those out. So I think that is the reason why in the Turing test they have it as text. But some of the voice ones that I go through, where you're just trying to figure out your phone bill or something like that, they sound pretty good. Usually I can tell after a couple of questions, but with text it's kind of hard to tell. And there are reports that some have passed the Turing test. One of the ones that I heard about was that the computer respondent was programmed to say that they were teenagers from a foreign country, Belarus or Russia or somewhere like that, and that's why their English wasn't very good. So I suppose if you make lots of reasons why my English not so good, why I not, right? If it's in that sort of broken English and a young person, then that you might sort of give them a lot more slack than you might want to give an actual human respondent. But one of those passed the Turing test, but I'm not really quite buying it. Lots of times they sort of put it back to you. What's the weather like where you are? And vague answers like, oh, it's always cold here. Tell me about where you are. Things like that. Anyway, so that's the Turing test. The cloud is a metaphor, really. It would be nice to think that it's out there floating through like Wi-Fi and things like that, but it's a very physical place. Looks like this: giant buildings, not skyscraper type buildings like in New York City, and they're kind of in the suburbs, but basically they're close to big cities and things. They look like large industrial parks, 2 or 3 stories high, and that sort of beige look. And they go on for acres and acres and acres, and that is the cloud. That's where stuff is stored, and everything has to get stored. That's a big thing. YouTube and Facebook and Google Docs and all of that, right? All of that is stored, and that's a big part of the internet, storage. Where is this stuff all going to get stored? I mean, you've got 20,000 photos. Where are they? Well, they're in the cloud somewhere, and that cloud is a business complex, a bunch of buildings somewhere. I don't know, maybe Riverside, but big giant, big giant office complexes like that. And you wouldn't notice it from the road. I'm sure that they want to be kept secret. That would be very disruptive if a foreign power were to take them out. It's not centralized, so you can't just take out one cloud complex, one storage facility like that, because they're all over the country. Remember, that's part of the whole deal with the internet is it's not central. There's no hub with spokes coming outward, but it's all decentralized and so on. But anyway, there you go. That's the cloud. Clickbait or click candy is a term for keeping us on a site. Part of that is how sticky is your site, and that means how long do people stay, right? How long do people stay at wherever, at the news site or at Amazon or at BuzzFeed, okay? And if you can keep people there for a while and clicking, then more ads can come through. Mostly it's about money, okay? So there are lots of them. I fall for them all the time. I know it. And I fall for it less and less. But when somebody says top 10 best guitarists or something like that, and I want to know where Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page are on that list, and chances are it's one person, right? Chances are it's not some well-researched thing where let's talk to all of the great guitarists and let's talk to all the great journalists and polling and all that kind of stuff. Usually it's not even vaguely scientifically driven information, the 10 best quarterbacks of all time, the 10 best whatever guitarists or some such thing. It's somebody, right? Just somebody who's mildly knowledgeable, and they post these things. And we fall for it, right? We fall, I do anyway, we fall and we click through. Clickbait. Cookies, information profiles, okay? So sometimes you'll see that, we collect cookies. The idea is to speed everything up. That's the whole idea, is to speed everything up. So when you go to YouTube or when you go to Amazon or when you go to Facebook, then they've already collected enough stuff from you, and they don't have to start from scratch all over again. And we know what you like, and we know the kinds of places you go, and what kinds of items you buy, and all that kind of thing. It is a little weird, at least it seems to be a little weird for me, when I look for a pair of flip-flops on Amazon, and lo and behold, when I go to YouTube, that same pair of flip-flops is being advertised to me, and I want to shout out, I bought them. I bought them. Stop advertising to me. But they follow me around, and those are the cookies that are helping them to do that. Crowdsourcing is basically getting work done for free. Okay, sounds pretty good. It's kind of like, you remember the old Tom Sawyer story? Do you remember that, where he's painting a fence and he uses what today we might call reverse psychology, or I mean, it's maybe not even reverse psychology. What are you doing, Tom? Oh, I'm painting this fence. Oh, look how fun it is. The paint goes on. It's so much fun. Can I try? No. I don't think you have the skill to help me paint this fence. Oh, please. I want to help, right? So kind of getting stuff done for free. Usually it's for a better cause than Tom Sawyer getting out of work. But the whole idea is there is a giant dump of information from WikiLeaks or somewhere like that that they got from the Pentagon, or they got from the National Security Agency, NSA, and there's tens of thousands of documents, and our little newspaper. We've only got 5 or 6 reporters that we can put on this story. So they would put it out, right? Crowdsource it and see how many people can help out. And speaking of, we have data mining. There's Edward Snowden from NSA, the famous leaker. He didn't like what was going on at it's a federal agency, National Security Agency. I think he was just a contractor, and he noticed that there were lots and lots of phone numbers from citizens. He didn't think that most of us knew that our phone numbers were being followed, and he leaked it. He might have tried. He might have tried going up the chain of command and so on, and that might have worked a little bit better. Who knows? Now the poor guy is stuck in Russia, but he's kind of a hero to a lot of people for letting people know that the federal government was collecting information from our phones. Now the government took great pains to let us know that it wasn't listening to our calls. It wasn't listening to our calls, but you can still get a lot of information. Who owns the phone? Where was the phone when the call was made? What time was it when the call was made? So it would know that you made a call from a bar at 2 a.m. to Korea. And maybe you don't mind if that information gets out, and maybe you kind of would rather it not know that the information gets out, that you're, whatever, in a bar on a Saturday night, calling people overseas. Who knows? But that's and how long the call was. So there's a fair amount of information that you can get from just knowing the phone and where and how and who and all that, without even knowing the conversation itself. Some people think that's a little bit too much, but that is data mining. What the NSA would be doing, they would be mining that data. What can we find here? Okay, well, here's a phone call, and every night at 2 a.m. they call some foreign country, right? Every night at 2 a.m. they call somewhere overseas. And maybe they're calling at 2 a.m. because overseas it's the middle of the next day, right? Maybe it's 10 or 12 hours away and they're calling, but it's very regular, and there's a fair amount of data that can be mined from that. The whole idea is to keep us safe, and people are calling, and maybe in the Middle East, maybe in Syria, something like that, with Al-Qaeda or ISIS or something like that. That's the whole idea. That's the reason behind it. And that's why they wanted to know about these phone calls, and why were these phone calls being made to these places in the Middle East, for instance. But that is data mining. And when he leaked all that data, there needed to be some crowdsourcing. It was way too much. Data throttling is users' data reaches a certain threshold. Now, you might think that you have unlimited data, but unlimited to phone companies doesn't really mean unlimited. If you are downloading games and movies 24/7, that's a lot more data than they thought that unlimited meant. Okay, so yeah, that's the plan, that's the contract, unlimited data. But you know what? We don't like the idea that you're really using 5 times more than anybody else, right? And so they just start throttling it off. It's like taking a garden hose and putting a little pinch in it. The water's still going to come out, but not quite as much as you were hoping to get. And so people's user data can get throttled back. So I guess that's a sort of an abuse of privilege. A lot of people don't like it. I'm not sure that you need to download video games and movies 24 hours a day, but that's between us and the service providers. a viral video. Okay, there we go, viral video. It's uploaded to the internet and it is viewed and downloaded many times. Okay, speaking of viruses and things like that, viral videos. I don't think any of us were aware of how often virus and viral is used in our normal language and our normal conversation before the coronavirus came through. But yeah, viral and virus, it's kind of all around. Now this first viral video, Trey Parker, Matt Stone from the South Park, who later did South Park, and the story is, and I've linked to it, and it's very a lot of F-bombs, we'll call it that. I wouldn't call it X-rated or anything, but it's just a lot of F-bombs. The story is they were young animators trying to work their way into Hollywood, and a producer wanted to send out a Christmas card to his friends, and he had enough money to hire some animators to send out a homemade sort of Christmas card. Now this is in the VHS days in the 1990s. This is in the VHS days, I believe. It could be in the early DVD days, but I remember hearing that it was in the VHS days even. And so he made he hired Parker and Stone. They made this very, very funny and very, very F-bomby Jesus and Santa Claus video, and sent it out. But of course, office staff and secretaries and production assistants would see it and laugh and say, I want a copy of it. And it is not very hard to hook up two VCRs and string one cable from out to the next VCR in, and the other one for audio and one for video, and make a copy. You put a blank in one and you put the original in the other, and you put play on one and record on the other, and voila, you've got a copy. So people can make copies, and then people can make copies of copies. Now, making copies of VHS is not an exact copy. It's more like, it's like a copy machine. If you take a document and put it on a copy machine, make a copy, and then copy the copy. Don't copy the original, copy the copy, and copy the copy, and copy the copy. Then it gets blurrier and blurrier and blurrier. And that is the downside, right? Digital makes exact copies, zeros and ones, right? You get a perfect copy, but with VHS, it's not so perfect, or copy machines. And so the copies that were out and around became blurrier and blurrier, but very, very funny. And then, lo and behold, some college students at a university, I believe it was in Illinois or Wisconsin, figured out a way to upload a VHS tape. Okay, it'd be kind of hard for a lot of people. It's easy to upload stuff from our phones, but to figure out a VHS tape and somehow get it digitized, right? Digitizing things. And they did, and then those files could get sent around, and it took a little know-how back then. And that was the first viral video. That was the very first viral video. I've linked to it. You can watch it and then come back and join us for memes. And a meme, it's a cultural virus, and it spreads and, very importantly, mutates. It changes, okay? There were no changes to the Santa Claus Jesus video, the Christmas video, but this one is from a film called Downfall. And it's the last couple of weeks of Adolf Hitler in the bunker in Berlin, going slowly bonkers, right? The Russians are coming in from the east, and the Americans and the British are coming in from the west. And it was a pretty good movie, and it's in German from, it seems like it's maybe the 1990s, and it's called Downfall. You can find it, and of course it has subtitles to it because it's in German. And it turns out it's not very hard to take the correct subtitles off and put in your own subtitles. And the main one is Hitler ranting about something, and pointing to something on a map, and then telling everybody to get out of the room except for his top leaders. So we have Hitler ranting about why is the pizza taking so long to be delivered. He's ranting about Hillary Clinton. He's ranting about Donald Trump. He's ranting about Voldemort. You can have him rant about anything. Basically, he rants, he screams in German, and tells a bunch of people to get out of the room, and then rants and screams some more. There's a funny one. Well, there's tons. There might even be 1,000 of them. People just writing in their own subtitles. So that is a pretty good meme. There's lots and lots of memes. There are photoshopped memes and things like that. Sharks swimming in the canals of Venice or through the flooded streets of New York, things like that. Anything, but the important part of a meme is it has to mutate and change. Okay, and you can check that out. I've linked to a Hitler one, but you can roam around, find something. Deep fake, and I think we talked about deep fake when we talked about movies. It's probably a little bit more appropriate here. It's software that allows us to substitute face for another video, and there's different software that if someone has a lot of speaking, like you'd have with a president, so with Obama or Clinton or Trump or somebody like that, there's a different kind of software that can take their words and their cadence, and you can make them say what you want them to say as well. You don't need an impressionist or anything like that. The deepfake video that I've linked to has Jordan Peele, who does a pretty good Barack Obama impersonation, but there's also software that can do voices as well, and it's very funny. Well, part of it, of course, one of the prime movers in a lot of stuff is pornography. Probably don't need to tell you that pornography is all over the internet, and it's all over photography and movies and media in general. Some people joke that the second film ever made or the second photograph ever made was a porn of some sort, and it sounds close enough to the truth. So here, of course, taking movie stars and their faces and putting them into porn videos and things seems to be getting a lot of usage. And there's a group of people that love to put Nicolas Cage in every movie they can think of, all of the Lord of the Rings and The Room and lots of stuff like that. So there he is in one of the Superman movies with his face over Amy Adams' face. That's called deep fake. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned before that we walk a fine line because we really don't want to get where we don't believe anything, and we really don't want to get to a place where we believe everything. We don't want to be too paranoid, and we don't want to be too naive. Somewhere in the middle, we know what to believe. We can sort of determine what is fake and what is not fake, and but it takes a little bit of work sometimes. It takes a little bit of work unless you're actually seeing somebody live or something like that. It's really hard to tell. I'm sure somebody has figured out a way to have Trump in his nightly press conferences say almost anything, right? The technology is there, and we don't want to get to a place where I know he said it. I heard him say it with my own ears, because that can be faked, right? That's really and true fake news, not the stuff that comes out of the New York Times. That's really, truly fake news, and we have to be careful. Again, if we believe too much, we could be suckered, and if we don't believe anything and just get too paranoid that there is no truth out there anywhere, that's a sad place to be, I think, as well. The digital divide is who has computers and or internet and or fast internet, not dial-up. Okay, and that is the digital divide. Interestingly, it's not specifically rich and poor. I think in the early days, back in the 90s, rich people, or certainly upper middle class could afford computers. They were relatively expensive back in 92, 93, 94. But a lot of kids are in school. A lot of kids, all kids are in school, and they would have internet access. So the divide tends to come from older people and rural people in particular. So that those would be the one. And here we see, not a big surprise, California, West Coast, New York, all that have high usage, high percentage of broadband, and the Deep South, there we go, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, right through there, the Deep South, and Kentucky and West Virginia. Less is only down to 60%, so it's not, it's a lot less than 85, or probably closing in on 90%. That is called the digital divide. 85% of everyone in the country is on the internet, but they don't all have fast service. So that's the problem. You could be on the internet with dial-up, and that still counts as being on the internet, but it's pretty darn slow. Okay, digital divide. Let's talk about cell phone technology. So sometimes you've heard that 4G, we have 4G, get our new phone, 5G, G stands for generation. It's the 5th generation that's coming out soon, and probably in the next year. So let's talk about what happens with each generation. In the 1980s, the first generation of cell phone technology, you could get voices, just like every telephone, right? All the telephones since Alexander Graham Bell, way back in the 1800s. Second generation, we can have encryption. Okay, so we have encryption. I don't really know a whole lot about the encryption, I guess, but that's going to make it possible for some of the computer stuff that we're going to get. And so when we get into the third generation, we get the mobile internet. There's a iPhone, 3G. That's where we're going to be able to get our maps and things like that, and some internet stuff. Not all the internet, not all the video and everything, but we can still get some internet. And I love just maps and directions and all that kind of stuff. I think that's wonderful that my phone is talking to a satellite. I think that's very cool. So 4G, higher bandwidth, that's where we're going to get HD video and gaming. It takes a lot more, not just standard definition video, HD video. I guess video would be in 3G. And if you want to download a 2-hour film, it might take 6 minutes or so to download a 2-hour film. And by the time we get all the way up to 5G, then films can be downloaded in a matter of seconds. But that's also where we get virtual reality, self-driving cars, remote surgery, all that other kind of stuff that I don't really use a whole lot. I'm glad it's on its way, and I think self-driving cars would be a very cool thing. But right now, I have to say I'm pretty happy with 4G. But VR and some of that stuff, yeah, very cool. For me, I need a bigger screen than my phone to watch a movie, so I don't tend to watch other than really short little videos on my phone. I need a bigger screen than 3 or 4 inches or 5, whatever it is. I need a much bigger screen, but that's just me. E-commerce, E stands for electronic, and this is a big thing. These days, Amazon is, gee, they're going to take over the world. We all thought it was going to be Apple or somebody or Microsoft, and it looks like Amazon's going to take over the world. World's richest human is the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and they are doing pretty well for themselves during the days of the virus in particular. People don't want to go to stores, but you can order anything you want. There it is. So yeah, e-commerce. And a lot of stores were a little late to it. Target, Macy's, whatever, Walmart. And now everybody has electronic. You can buy pretty much anything over the internet, but Amazon has really swallowed up most of it, that's for sure. Hackers committed to circumvention of computer security, I think is a close approximation. It used to mean something else, but now it's mostly getting around security barriers and things like that. Firewall is a computer digital security barrier, and a lot of hackers like to hack in and circumvent and all that sort of thing, and yeah, get credit card numbers and personal information and all that kind of stuff. This seems to be quite possibly of international concern. Russians, I hate to pick on the Russians, but that's who our government and Chinese. It's sort of a soft warfare. It's better, maybe it's better to hack a computer than to fire a missile. For sure, it's better, but you can do a lot of damage once you can get through security barriers. If you imagine a foreign government, or even non-state actors, as they're called, if they hack in to the city where you live and turn all of the traffic signals green at the same time, let's say, that would cause a lot of problems. Dams are operated through computers. Let's open up the dams and let all the water out. Okay, electrical grid is run through computers and things, shutting off everybody's electricity, right? There's a lot of stuff you can do with computers and security and all of that. Really an awful lot that you can do. The scariest stuff seems to have the best firewalls, and by that I'm talking about military. Nobody's figured out, and thank goodness they haven't figured out a way to launch nuclear missiles. Okay, and so thank goodness there is a very strong firewall at the Pentagon. People have gotten onto the Pentagon, onto their website, and changed stuff and that sort of thing, and government websites and things. But the whole nuclear area, that would be just really, really scary, and that hasn't happened yet. And thank goodness for a really good firewall. There was such a thing as a literal firewall. Banks and places like that, a lot of things were made out of wood, and so you might put up brick walls, things like that, so that the fire couldn't get through, right? It was brick or cement or something like that, or steel, I guess, and fires couldn't get through. So there's such a thing as a literal firewall, and then, of course, security firewalls. A Luddite, maybe you've heard this term, maybe not. It's still around, still in use. Someone who mistrusts or refuses to use new technology. There's a fictitious character, probably not a real character, fictitious character, Ned Ludd, and smashed automated looms. And artists and artisans, if you know what you're doing, you can make very detailed patterns and things in looms. And you'd have to be a real artist. And some people don't like the idea of things being automated. Maybe glass blowers and things like that. You know, something where it takes a real certain skill. You can be highly paid for doing what you do. And the idea of something being automated would be very disconcerting. So this happened way back in the early 1800s. These sort of an automated loom. There was sort of like a punch card. You could put it in, and it would sort of make the patterns for you. You didn't really have to know how to do it yourself. The fictitious Ned Ludd, somebody did, but I don't know that their name really was Ned Ludd. Probably a pseudonym of some sort. And so today, you still hear the term Luddite, someone who mistrusts technology, and so on. And of course, this technology is a loom technology from 200 years ago, but still it was technology, and the term Luddite's been with us ever since. Malware, mal, I think it's Latin, could be Greek, sick or bad. Okay, so malevolent, There's lots of uses of Maleficent. Okay, yeah. So software gets inside your computer, operates without your permission. A lot of times you don't know that it's doing what it's doing. That's probably the best if your computer starts just malfunctioning. Then you might take it in and have it debugged or whatever, run some software on it. But if you don't know that it's stealing information, then it can go undetected for a long time. Phishing, getting secret passwords from computer users by fake institutions like banks or colleges. So be very careful. Be very careful. If the college ever says, we need your information again, everything is online, and if you're going to get your diploma, if you're going to get your transcript, if you're going to get your whatever, then please reset your account, give us your social security number again, tell us your mother's maiden name again, and so on and so forth. And you are desperate, oh my goodness, I need my transcripts, I need my diploma, and you give it out. And don't fall for it. That's it. Just don't fall for it. It could be anywhere. A lot of times we have to reset your passwords and everything on your credit cards, things like that. Most of the time, the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. Nobody is ever going to ask all your Social Security number, all 9 digits of your Social Security number. People just aren't going to ask for that online. So don't give all that stuff out. I don't know what the harm is in the last 4 of your Social Security number. They're kind of out there, but be very, very careful. It's not that hard to make a request look like it's coming from Apple, or look like it's coming from the college, or look like it's coming from Bank of America or anything like that. Just be very, very careful about phishing, especially these days. Net neutrality is where you would have the same connection speed for everyone, not faster for big payers or big providers. Here, big companies, which could be like Netflix, right? That would be an example of a big company. Netflix uses lots of bandwidth. I heard somewhere that they use most of the bandwidth in the evening when people are watching Netflix and watching movies and all that sort of stuff. They might be 25 or 30% of all bandwidth might be going through Netflix. And some people don't like the idea that Netflix could pay more money and get a faster connection than everybody else could get. Small companies in particular, it's hard to break into the big time if you're at a disadvantage. And some people say, well, that's a business and everybody should, you pay for what you want, just like with cable, right? If you want HBO, you pay extra. If you want whatever, you pay extra. And that is net neutrality, and it is a political issue. It goes back and forth, whoever's in political power. When Obama was in, there was net neutrality, and when Trump came in, since the FCC and the people who are on the FCC board are political appointees, then they can change policy. It's as simple as that. So it's hard for businesses to plan very far in the future if every 4 or 8 years a different political party is going to change the rules of the game. But that's net neutrality. Opt-in is the term. Most consumer groups prefer this. Instead of being auto-billed, unless you tell us we can't, we're going to take all of your private information and sell it. Okay, and most of us aren't going to read the contract and then say no. Most of us are just going to scroll, okay. Scroll, okay. And so consumer groups don't like that to be the default. They would rather have the default be no, you can't have it. And unless I tell you, you can have it. Sometimes it's easy. The default for Netflix is you just get auto-billed every month, right? You don't get asked, would you like another month of Netflix? Yes. Okay, here's your bill. Would you like another month of Netflix? Yes, here's your bill. Right now, it's just you get it and you get it and you get it until you take the time and the trouble to go online and say, I don't want Netflix this month. Okay, most of us tend to be a little on the lazy side, and so opt out is kind of not the good one, and opt-in is the one that consumer groups would prefer us to have, where we specifically give permission. The tipping point, this is a few years ago now, more Google searches done on mobile devices than desktops and laptops. Okay, that says something. We've talked about some of these benchmarks, and that would be one. And when more people got their news from television than from newspapers, and when more people got their news from computers, and when more people bought more items on the internet than in stores or things like that, when more music where it was sold via files versus physical things like CDs and cassettes and stuff. So there's all sorts of these places in our recent history where things change, right? It's not the way things used to be, and things change, and we call that the tipping point, and that's a pretty good example of one, right? Our tiny little mobile devices. In 2019, Cyber Monday, which is the Monday after Black Friday, which is the Friday and the Monday after Thanksgiving. Okay, so all the Christmas sales would take place in the old days. Everybody'd have a regular Thanksgiving, and then there would be the big sales on Friday. Then they started backing them up to midnight and backing them up to Thanksgiving Day, and then backing them up to Thanksgiving Eve. Anyway, yeah, it creeps back and back and back. And Cyber Monday, after the 4-day Thanksgiving holiday, everybody is back at work and sitting there and on their computer if they have an office job, and spending half the time buying stuff. So a lot of stuff was sold on computers the Monday after Thanksgiving. And so there we go, more items purchased on mobile devices last year. The Internet of Things. This is one of the newest that we have, one of the very newest, or very last, I think, for the whole semester. Cars, thermostats, home security, refrigerators, copy machines, all that, right? Lots of stuff is connected to the internet. Now, they're not all that smart, and they're not all, you can't do word processing and check your Facebook messages and stuff like that, but there's a lot of stuff that is hooked up to the internet. And just like I said a little bit earlier about disruptive things, traffic lights are hooked up, and dams, and all sorts of stuff is hooked up. But especially in our homes, your refrigerator can tell you, okay, you're out of milk and eggs, and last month you used 2.5 gallons of milk, all that kind of thing. So that is a smart home. We're going to start seeing that term more and more, smart homes, things like that. The Internet of Things. A couple years ago, I was in Japan. They are big on technology and big on the internet, and they are a fast-aging society. They have among the very highest longevity in the world, and there are lots of widows and lots of widows, women tend to live longer than men, in their 90s, and families all gone, and it's a very aging society. There aren't enough young people to take care of all the old people in Japan, so they are having to look into various forms of robotics and things like that for old people. They're cleaning, all that kind of stuff. You have to have young people, a young workforce that's willing to clean things and care for people and all of that. They have these odd little pets and things like that that sort of purr and are furry and fuzzy and comforting to people possibly with dementia, things like that. So they are kind of the leading edge of technology, especially when it comes to our senior citizens and things like that. And I mentioned Japan because when we were there, this is what was on the wall next to the toilet. And we saw them in airports and hotels, and I would assume in homes. So you can kind of figure it out. There's your bum, and there is a spray. You can control the spray, and of course you don't want to use standard toilet paper, so there would be air drying. Somewhere in there is music, and somewhere in there is different parts of your underside maybe needs to get cleaned, so there is a different setting for that. And how warm your seat is on there. Maybe that's that. I'm not sure. It was kind of fun, but I have to say, it's kind of, you feel pretty clean when you're sort of washed and air dried like that. So there we go. Internet of Things, possibly telling you need more roughage in your diet. I don't know. I understand that technology exists, and we can tell from our waste if our diet is sufficient. I'm trying to dodge around this without grossing anybody out, but it's kind of fun, really, all this stuff. Internet of Things, I guess that's under Internet of Things. Here is Tokyo, robot bars and things. Some of it are people dressed up for like a show, but some of it, they have Roombas and things vacuuming your house, and there's a lot more stuff than that in Japan. And surveying, you can go to a restaurant and punch the buttons to pick the food that you want, and it will be automatically made for you and delivered, and then you pay for it, and everything's done on a screen at your table. Okay, so that is our brave new future. And if you want to see the future, at least in terms of the internet, I think Japan would be a pretty good place to go. There are some high-tech cities. I think Singapore is quite high-tech as well, and other places around the world. So that is where we are going to end our class with computers and robots and all of that. Okay, so at this point you are ready to take the third test and study as much as you can, and then you're ready for the third test. That's all the material that will be presented on the third test. So thank you very, very much for joining me this semester. I hope you enjoyed it. We kind of had phase 1 and phase 2, but I hope you got lots of new things to think about and new information, podcasts, lectures, all that good kind of stuff. And thanks again. Take care. Have a good life.